So we're going to talk Swamp Thing. This is the Total Recall Show. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli. Please support my Patreon. Go to patreon.com and search Tom Scioli, and you'll see all the various comics I'm working on. And you can follow me on Instagram at Tom_Scioli.
You can follow me on Instagram at cinema_tune.
So yeah, we were talking about Swamp Thing, there's like a new Swamp Thing TV show, and I think it just like showed up on like the CW or something, and so like I wanted to check it out, but then I thought like, okay, before I do, let me like go back and revisit the the old the classic Wes Craven film.
Craven.
Now I've watched this movie a million times. I love the logo too.
Oh,
that green and purple
pops so big.
Yeah, he is, and he's kind of like DC's Hulk. You know,
I think that's what drew me to him subconsciously, because I love the Hulk so much.
And again, like you talk about like the history of like comic book movies, and like the Hulk. I mean, obviously not a movie, but like. It was an early entry of like the Hulk TV movies and the TV series, and Swamp Thing's an early entry too. Like it's you got like that Christopher Reeve Superman, and then you got the Swamp Thing movie, and again it's like something about the Hulk, something about the Swamp Thing, kind of translates a lot more easily than like just the straight up superhero stuff.
Definitely does. Like you're right. When I was little watching the Hulk TV movies, I saw Return of Swamp Thing at Farmore and rented it, and it was one of the first superhero movies I would like spin a lot. I saw the sequel before I saw the older one.
Yeah, because I mean, this first one was on TV. Michael Uslan in the credits, just like a guy who was like involved in like comics fandom when he was like a teenager or whatever, and then now like he involved in the Batman. Oh yeah, the Michael Keaton Batman movie, and like involved. I think he's involved in these superhero movies like to this day. But yeah, he's involved in this, and directed by Wes Craven.
Yes,
which I'd kind of forgotten, or maybe I never knew it. But this used to like run all the time on TV when I was a kid, just like constantly, and like I loved it. I'd always watch it, on like my black and white TV in my room. I saw Return of the Swamp Thing first, and then Return of the Swamp Thing had footage from this movie in it. Okay. When he blows up and is on fire, I was like, "Whoa, that came from something before this." And we're not going to reshoot the origin, so we'll.
At the same time, I'm watching these. There's the Kenner's toy line.
Yes, yeah, because I think the toy line, like, was tied into the Swamp Thing Saturday morning cartoon.
Yes.
Did you ever watch that?
Yes. So like. I watched I think I've seen them all, but I'm pretty sure I don't know if there's a full 12 episode. There might be like 5 or 6, but around the time of the toy line when it coincided with the cartoon, they must have had, because I have this. It was the Return of the Un-Men. It was the first episode of the cartoon on VHS. It was a VHS tape with just one episode on it, and I watched that like a trillion times, and it was by Kenner. So my mom must have gotten it, and they must have been selling it like when you see
packaged in with the toys or something.
Yeah, like you must have been able to grab that at like KB's or something with the.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm wondering if like.
Because it said Kenner on the VHS.
Because sometimes G.I. Joe would have this with like, I think it was like with Sergeant Savage or whatever. They'd have like a VHS tape like blister packed in with like a toy or whatever. So I wonder if it was like similar with Swamp Thing. If it was like like maybe you didn't get the VHS when you bought the Swamp Thing figure, but maybe if you bought like his fan boat or something.
Dude, there is fucking the
fan boat fiction. Like this is a fan boat. Like we are fans of the fan boat genre.
There's anything involving a fan boat, Total Recall Show is right there.
Yes, and there are a lot of fan
boats in this. And that guy right there, it looks like Ken Marino from Wet Hot American Summer. I think Kenner's Swamp Thing toy line is one of their ultimate triumphs.
Okay.
Like that toy line, I was looking on it, I'm going to have to snag some on eBay. Like they're going for a very fair price on there.
Before we drive up to
I bet I have to go like snag
some. Yeah, do it before. I'll give you a heads up before this thing goes live.
The packaging, the sculpt on the figures, the colors, the array of figures, like the play value, like the size, the play sets. It's just it's like one of the ultimate, I think, Kenner like triumphs is their Swamp Thing toy line.
Yeah, they were probably reeling because that's like the post Star Wars era where they're like, what do we do? There's no more Star Wars movies.
The gimmicks are great. There's like, it's 90s. Got to have a lot of glow in the dark. There's bio glow Swamp Thing. You pour water on him, he turns from green to brown, like he blends in.
Well, like mutants and like
Muck
my God. And stuff, and swamp monsters. And
Un-Men are great. They come with these like goopy, like squishy heads you can put on.
I love the Un-Men. I always like that name too, the Un-Men.
Great name.
And I think the Un-Men might go all the way back to like the original like Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson comic. I think they go back like all the way to like the very beginning.
I definitely need to read. I can't believe I've never read
it's a great comic. Like you got this like first run that's Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson, and just like great stuff and really like sort of iconic kind of stuff. And there's like an issue where Batman shows up.
Oh my God!
Cool. It's like a DC comic, and it's like at a time like in the 70s when it's like they're doing superheroes, but they want to do a little more horror. They feel like horror is kind of like the future of comics. So then they have this like horror superhero, and it's like way more horror than you would have seen in like a superhero comic. It's very like Lovecraftian and just beautifully illustrated. It's like prime Bernie Wrightson before he started kind of making the Hollywood money and like didn't really do so much of like the down and dirty comic book kind of stuff.
Being a fan of Swamp Thing in every aspect except the reading the comic, I've been planning this year to like write that wrong, because like my friend and I, we would go to like Bill and Walt's hobby shop and we would buy the Bernie Wrightson like macaw, like there's cards in like the green packaging, and we would just like, this is dope, this is sick, and there'd be Swamp Thing images in there. I'm like, holy shit, this is sick.
Yeah, so there's like a bunch of like issues of us, and they've been like, of course, like the originals are like a lot harder to get now, but they've been like reprinted a number of times and stuff. So I have like some pretty nice reprints of it. And then there was this kind of like post Wrightson period where I think it was like maybe Nestor Redondo, maybe Alfredo Alcala. But again, like it's great stuff. It's like really good. You just pick a random issue. It's usually like pretty fun. Alan Moore comes in and kind of like reinvents the character, kind of like does some pretty cool stuff with the character. And then that was kind of like my entry to like the Swamp Thing comics. Like I loved the movie, watched it a million times, loved the theme song to the cartoon, and then like when I got a little older, started checking out these like Alan Moore comics because they were kind of like legendary by this point. And
that theme song to the cartoon is like Swamp Thing.
Well, yeah, it was like they took Wild Thing. Oh, there's a TRS-80 computer.
Oh my God.
A TRS-80 Model 1.
Beautiful.
And in the sort of the Holland residence. We were saying the Holland's like the vibe and him like transforming the Swamp Thing and the bad guys messing the lab up. Extremely Darkman-ish. Yes.
Like the way they kill his sister, and then like even there's a guy in here that was in Darkman. The bald-headed goon is the guy in Darkman that he mimics with his fake face. Alec
Holland kind of has a in this movie, like the actor kind of has like a Liam Neeson kind of thing. Like he's not a like he's not like a supermodel or something. He's not like he's kind of like mature and like maybe like not.
He looks like in Ray Wise, great actor, but in real life he looks like how like Tiny Toons drew Michael Keaton.
Yeah, that's interesting because I never thought of the Darkman thing, but it makes sense because especially like in movies and stuff, it's always like you're looking to do things as cheaply as possible, and then you're looking at precedent. You're looking like, okay, what's like a movie that handled this thing similarly, and what can I look at and what can I learn from, and then apply, because it is like it's just movie making, like especially at that time, it's so high stakes. And you need like everything like in your corner, so you kind of hedge your bets that way. So I could see like, I could see Sam Raimi, especially a guy coming from this like DIY thing, being like, okay, I want to do a horror superhero who's done horror superheroes, who's done it right, and it's like there's not a lot to choose from. You got this great Wes Craven thing, and you can kind of adapt the setup.
You're right, and these scared the crap out of me when I was little too. I watch them a lot, but like this one even it has famous Harry Manfredini is the composer for this, and he did Friday the 13th. So like when I'm watching this, I'm like, is Jason Voorhees gonna come out of?
Yeah, for me, this is like as close as I would want to get to like real horror movies. Like this, like I like a horror superhero movie. Like, like it's the worldview of like if Swamp Thing were just like a serial killer, targeting teens or whatever, I wouldn't enjoy it. But because he's kind of like he's a monster, but he's a good guy, and you like him, and you're pulling for him, and he's trying to help people.
Taking out the Un-Men, like that leech in even in this one. Oh my god, when Arcane gives that guy like the
stuff
serum,
that turns him into.
Oh, and it freaked me out as an adult and when I was little. And Wes Craven must have told that actor to give him direction. He's like, just do the Wicked Witch of the West, because he was like, I'm melting, I'm melting.
Yeah, like, that guy, like when he gives that guy that thing and it turns him into one of the Un-Men. Like I remember as a kid having like sausage pizza, and then just eat and like seeing how like the sausage pizza kind of looked like that guy. And it was like, and I was kind of like looking like his face when it's starting to get all this. It kind of ruined my enjoyment of this like sausage pizza. And anytime I eat since then, anytime I eat sausage pizza, like I always think, like it doesn't bother me anymore. But like I think of like, oh yeah, Swamp Thing. It's kind of like here's one the Swamp Thing. Yeah, sausage pizza.
Swamp Thing is played by Dick Durock, but I sometimes I'm like, is his name Dick Rock Dick? Richard Rock Dick.
Yeah, if it were like that would be like if Richard Roundtree showed up on an episode of the Flintstones.
It's like Shaft in Bedrock.
Yeah, and it's
Shaft's big score in Bedrock.
Played by Rock Round.
Dick
Round.
Richard Round. Richard Rock Dick. Not sure if he's like somebody signed into this hotel under the name Richard Rock Dick.
The theme song, like you watch this movie and all you want to hear is "Born on the Bayou," like it's just like the
How come Swamp Thing? We see a lot of great fan boat work, but I want to see Swamp Thing come around
driving
the corner on a fucking fan boat.
And it would be the Swamp Mobile. Like that would be if they made a Swamp Thing Part 3. He'd be in a fan boat. It would be like the Wolfmobile in Teen Wolf, would have like his picture on it and stuff.
They're driving a van. Swamp Thing's on the roof doing like flips.
Remember that movie Gator?
Oh yeah, with Burt Reynolds. Yeah,
like it kind of like this kind of reminds me a little bit of Gator. Too.
Love that.
Like if Burt Reynolds got like scorched by this like plant growth serum and like jumped in the water and then came out at
A Helmet Hair Hall of Fame, Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah, Helmet Hair Hall of Fame, the ladies' wing of the Helmet Hair Hall. Because it like we did kind of need to balance the scales a little bit because all our other like Helmet Hair Hall of Fame entries have all been men so far. David Hasselhoff, Michael Landon, Bill Bixby. So I mean, yeah, look at that. That's some world class helmet hair.
The guy from why can't I remember his name from Clash of the Titans?
Harry Hamlin. Punch and John from Chips.
Oh both wow! I forgot they're in there.
They're in the Helmet Hair Hall of Fame, and they wear helmets.
Yeah. We're gonna see the.
Yeah, the origin story. Yeah, in the comics, Alec Holland and his wife are in the explosion, and like his wife dies. Is that his wife?
It's his sister.
His sister. Okay, because in the comic, it's like he and his wife are working on the formula, and then like his wife dies, and he turns into Swamp Thing. But I guess they don't have that in the movie.
She discovered the.
Looks great.
Oh, I know.
This like glowing green. It looks like Prel or something.
If I was I show up on set and they're like, "Please don't drink that," because I just want to like.
Yeah, it looks like Ecto Cooler or something. That hair has its own zip code.
Yeah, it's wide, and the we know her from.
She's got the Weird Al look. She's wearing like the Hawaiian shirt. It's got the poodle hair.
Weird Al got his style from Adrienne Barbeau.
I think so. I think the dates line up. I think he watched
Swamp Thing
and just like
stole his act.
I want that hair. I want that shirt.
He's like,
I want that hair. I want that shirt. I mean, the Swamp Thing theme song for the cartoon could have been a Weird Al song because they took Wild Thing and turned it into Swamp Thing. You are amazing. You fight everything. Nasty. Swamp Thing, the world needs you. Ba ba da ba. Arcane is back for sure.
Arcane is back for sure. I've watched that. I'm gonna find this VHS.
Please.
It's fucking great. There's one
we'll
episode on it
because I know they haven't put it out in like DVD or anything as far as I know.
You have an enormous root.
Swamp Thing, you are amazing. You fight everything. Nasty. And I feel like when they would play Swamp Thing like over and over on like Channel 17 in Philadelphia, WPHL in Philadelphia, they as part of like the package on the commercials for it, they play Wild Thing. They play Wild Thing, and then they have like scenes from Swamp Thing. And I'm assuming it wasn't just Philadelphia. I'm assuming this was like a nationwide thing. It was just so I think
amazing.
I think they took like the Wild Thing song that was played with
the bumpers
at the bumpers, and then we're like, okay, we'll do Swamp Thing, song as Wild.
Makes it even better.
And it wasn't like the Swamp Thing theme song. It wasn't like they were like, oh, let's try and catch like the vibe of Wild Thing. They were just doing Wild Thing. They were just doing like a Weird Al parody. I think I know like what the image is going to be for this video because it's like if we could somehow like Photoshop like find Adrienne Barbeau wearing that thing and like just like put like an accordion in front of her or something.
Louis Jordan Louis Jordache jeans.
Louis Gloria Vanderbilt.
He's back. He's in both movies. Mm-hmm. Even though in this one,
he meets an end.
He becomes like that awesome like Wolfman like.
And he's Arcane, right? Or
he's Arcane.
Yeah, he's Arcane because like in the comics, Arcane becomes this like crazy looking spider creature, and he's got like he goes through it like a series of transformations, and it's like Bernie Wrightson has like a couple of like ticks. He has like a couple of like design things that he does that are just great. And one of them is like the Swamp Thing nose.
Oh, I love that.
Which I like love the nose. And they don't really nail it in this first Swamp Thing movie, but they get the Swamp Thing costume in the second movie. Oh my god,
I love it.
Like I far prefer the first movie, but like the second one, they like nail the look. Like he's like more muscular and like in like all the goop hanging off. Goop, like the detail work on it is great. The suit in this first one is kind of famously bad. You can see the zipper on it. There's like scenes where Swamp Thing gets his arm cut off, and then you see him running around, and you can tell like he's just got his arm like tucked into the costume, like it, you know.
In the sequel, Heather Locklear's in there.
Yeah.
And there's a part when Arcane's like...
And does she play Abby Arcane in it?
Daughter.
Abby Arcane. She's his daughter. Okay, because in the comics, she's his niece.
Maybe... I can't remember. She's his either daughter or niece in the movie. Mm-hmm. But one of the Un-Men, he's like Richie Sambora in this zip code. And that hair is in a second.
Yeah, there's like less oxygen where the hair resides.
So like snow is like
Swamp Thing has that cool thing, the kind of like nose
vine.
It's like a nose shield or like a nose roof, an extra roof, and then like nostrils and stuff. Super cool. And it's like there's certain artists who like kind of create a design element that then like other artists sort of copy, and it's like you always know like, oh, they're doing the rights and things. So there have been like other, creatures and villains and things. Most recently they created like a new Superman villain that kind of had that look too.
Oh,
and
awesome.
they reference Wrightson with it, but he's got that. And then Arcane has like when he mutates from just this kind of like evil dude into this like, mutant guy. He starts to get some of the some like Bernie Wrightson isms where he has like these like teeth that come out like this, and like one giant like bulbous eye that's like just completely whited over and like filled with pus or whatever. And then he mutates a couple times. Oh, you know what I'm seeing in this? Those guys coming out of that red elevator, all those military guys. It's like straight out of Planet Terror.
Oh yes. We got to do our Grindhouse.
Yeah, this is a total Grindhouse movie, and then in all the best ways. And then like
there's
Arcane,
our Dark Man.
Yeah, Arcane, because now they just need that like little bird thing that goes.
Yeah, his poor partner. He's like, he can't breathe. He's like, ventilate him, and he shoots him in the head.
Durant. The return of Durant. As if anybody was clamoring for the return.
I love the Mad Magazine spoof or crack spoof of Dark Man. But they talk about, it's like with Durant, like he's like, he cuts, thank goodness he only cuts fingers off. Yeah. They said that in the cracked or Mad one. I can't remember which one. But he cuts somebody's dick off with a cigar trimmer. He's like,
that sounds like a Mad joke, but maybe it was cracked. This guy is peeling it off. Don't you just love like a mask reveal too?
Love a great mask,
and especially a bad mask reveal.
Oh, that was so bad. And it's an '80s movie too, with you get the army, like the classic '80s camp.
Love that camo. This is like a Mission Impossible prequel.
Jim Phelps.
He so like Arcane. He like eventually like transforms into this like spider creature and stuff. And this is like and then and then he gets like killed, and then he like sort of, and then in the Alan Moore iteration, he like sort of comes back from like hell, and like he like inhabit like he does like some possession and stuff. Like it's pretty awesome. But yeah, Arcane's pretty great, and I like that he's a wolf man.
It's so awesome. Like, and then in the second one, you got the leech that Un-Men. I think he just you don't see him transform, but he's just like this leech guy running around that like Swamp Thing has to fight.
Leech, Grizzlor, Mantenna.
I love it.
Yeah,
he wants some work here. They're like,
begging for his life. And yeah, this guy's
Durant.
Yeah, rubbing it in. Yeah, very very Durant like.
Whoa.
Oh, he like I think he really elbowed that guy.
Ken Marino.
Some amazing hair. Some amazing like iconic, and it's like kind of like comic book hair. The way like you want to differentiate all your characters, have them have like as different hair as possible. So yeah, you got a mullet guy. You got a guy with like a headband and Jerry curls kind of poking through it.
This is what the clip that was in Return to Swamp Thing that made me watch this one.
Yeah, and this is a classic '80s thing of like getting a guy in one of those insulated suits, setting him on fire. Like the "Wish You Were Here" album cover or something. Yeah, and green light.
And the fog rolling in.
Yeah, I am getting some Planet Terror out of this.
There's Alec exploding in the swamp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all this green light, man. You know what? It also reminds me of Batman Forever.
Yeah,
not Batman Forever. I mean, it reminds me of Batman Forever, but also Batman and Robin.
Yes,
the one after Batman Forever, when you start getting all the plant creatures with poison ivy and Bane.
You're right. They were definitely drawn on this one for the last.
Well, and Jason Woodrue is in that Batman and Robin movie, and he's got like a big role to play in like the Alan Moore Swamp Thing. In the Alan Moore Swamp Thing, his first issue kind of like wraps up all kind of like the loose ends of like all the previous Swamp Thing comics, and then the next issue is like his fresh start, and it like starts with like Swamp Thing's dead. He's been killed. He's been like the government or whatever, the shadowy black ops kind of thing. Like they've just killed Swamp Thing with like machine gun fire, and now they have his body. And so Jason Woodrue, because of his expertise in like plant stuff, is like hired to do Swamp Thing's autopsy. And then sort of famously, like, we learned things about Swamp Thing. We learned that like a lot of our assumptions about Swamp Thing aren't true, and we get kind of a new insight into the character that kind of, you know, it turns everything on its head, and it kind of becomes it becomes like the blueprint for how you come into like a long established comic and then try to like turn it on its head and make it feel like fresh, and you know, and like everything you thought you knew was wrong, and here's this like new era that's got like, you know, huge possibilities. So it's you know,
I can't wait. I got Shang-Chi, Eternals, and some Swamp Thing to take care of.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like Shang-Chi, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. Like it's a that's a really good comparison with Swamp Thing. Like especially the early Swamp Things, because
ooh, yeah,
the early Swamp Things and the early Shang-Chi comics, you're kind of like, the story doesn't matter so much. It's more like about just going on this amazing ride and seeing all this amazing art and seeing all like these, you know, lush illustration of all this like, you know, craziness, and like the story's not too important. But then with Swamp Thing, like once you get to the Alan Moore thing, then like the story kind of takes it, like it becomes like some really great comics.
It feels like you would see that like the Shang-Chi comic you're talking and the Swamp Thing, like it'd be like a late night Grindhouse, like
very
double feature.
And like I think they were pretty much concurrent. It was like early 70s for
That's
both.
awesome.
And yeah, Grindhouse, like it is like, you know, like Shang-Chi was kind of like coming out of like Bruceploitation and stuff. And
I
this,
love the
you know, this is coming out of like
Bruceploitation.
I'm trying to think what would have been like going on in the zeitgeist that like Swamp Thing came out. I mean, I guess part of it is like there's this like long tradition in comics of like swamp monsters. There was this like early on in the history of comic books, like the golden age of comics, there was a character called the Heap, and he was basically Swamp Thing. He was this big muck monster in the swamps that like would, you know, get into trouble, and then it's kind of like the world kind of forgot about him, and then you know people started writing about like the golden age of comics and stuff, and it was like the world kind of like rediscovered the Heap. So then like because like the famous
the Heap now.
Yeah,
I want to check him out.
It's pretty cool
Shit.
stuff. Like, and so like DC came up with their version of the Heap, and it was Swamp Thing, and then Marvel came up with their version of the Heap, and it was Man Thing. And people always talk about like, oh, Man Thing a ripoff, Swamp Thing a ripoff, but like they came out at right at the same time. But it really like they were just both ripoffs of
the Heap,
and it was maybe coincidence or maybe something else. But like to me, like Swamp Thing was always the real one, and Man Thing was like the you know, the Kmart version or whatever. But it's just because like Swamp Thing's the one I encountered first,
Yeah.
and the one that made more sense to me. And you can actually kind of like, you can have a conversation with Swamp Thing where like Man Thing is just like like the Man Thing comics are super cool though, especially like Steve Gerber. Like I don't know if he's there at the very beginning of Man Thing, but he comes in like pretty early on, and his are really great. And Man Thing has like zero personality, like he's just this shambling, mindless monster. But so like Steve Gerber's way around the obvious limitations of that was he would just make these extremely interesting stories of all these extremely interesting characters around this kind of like mindless muck monster. So like he created this.
Is he
like,
a good
really
guy? Is like
bodywork.
Man Thing or just like
Man Thing he's sort of neutral. I think he's more often does good than bad. Like he more often, you know, gets the bad guys, but occasionally he'll get a good guy, because it's like Man Thing's gimmick is that if you have fear in you, those who have fear will burn at the touch of Man Thing. So like if Man Thing touches you and while you're fearful, you'll burst into flames. So like more often than not, it would apply to the bad guys. The bad guys would be like freaked, but occasionally they'd throw a curveball and some like innocent person would like fall into his grasp and catch fire.
The bad contestant to have on Fear Factor, the show.
Yeah. You know, like
We shouldn't have Man Thing on this.
yeah, right. He's blowing our whole gimmick. Man Thing, like again, like there's been a lot of like cool Man Thing stories, but it's just like, I mean, to me, like a character, like you could do interesting things, I guess, with these sort of like mindless forces of nature, but like a character with agency is always going to be so much more interesting than just some like character that's on autopilot. So like, you know, Swamp Thing all the way for me.
Yeah.
An interesting thing though, like, you know, Swamp Thing comics were great across the board. Alan Moore run is like the celebrated Swamp Thing run. But Alan Moore as a creator, and Alan Moore on Swamp Thing specifically, owes so much to the Steve Gerber Man-Things. Like it's really interesting to read them in concert, because Steve Gerber was bringing like a purple prose and like a beautiful like writing style to these like sort of swamp monster stories that he was doing in like the mid to early 70s, and like Alan Moore's doing his Swamp Thing stuff in the 80s, and then also this like surrealist bent and this like environmentalist bent and a philosophical like you know, Steve Gerber was bringing all this like heavy stuff into his comics and doing it in sort of a playful manner, and like it, you know, just if you get a chance to check those out and read them in tandem.
I was planning on scoring. There's like a collection of the Bernie Wrightson and Len Wein, what you want to pick up. And then I think in November there's a huge like thing coming out. I think it's like Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run. It's like in a big box set or something.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it's coming out in the middle of November.
Yeah, I think I have all of his run. Like I have a bunch of it in like regular comics form, and then I have a bunch of it in like trades and stuff. But I could get you started on it. I could, you could check out Volume 1, you know, and
that'd be great.
See how you like it. It's pretty cool. Like I think, especially if you're like coming in as like a Swamp Thing fan and you haven't checked it out, it'll be an eye opener because it really like expands the canvas.
I would watch. I remember the show from the 90s. I'd see that on like USA or like Sci-Fi, and I haven't seen the new one though, the new show. But I know Adrienne Barbeau is in one of the episodes of the new show. Whoops! Wow. Sorry for
spoiler. Thanks, Matt. That was gonna blow my mind. No, yeah, I am looking forward to checking it. And we'll sort of like reconvene. Do like a Swamp Thing TV series.
Where can we watch that?
I think it's on the CW app, which I think is free.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
I think so, but you know, yeah.
And the this reminded me to another toy name from a vehicle from the line is called the Bog Rover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the vehicles look super cool, and like I feel like if like Gravedigger and Swamp Thing joined forces, like shouldn't Swamp Thing be driving Gravedigger?
Swamp Thing should definitely be driving Gravedigger. Holy shit!
Yeah,
like Gravedigger. Yeah, gets stuck in the swamp, and only Swamp Thing can drive his ass out of there.
Yeah, and he definitely needs a fan boat. And like remember like Bashasaurus from Masters of the Universe?
Oh yeah,
kind of like this vehicle that had this like big like fist ball that would like
heck
come
yeah.
out. Like Swamp Thing needs a car with something like that's big like fist or something.
Gravedigger.
You know what? Swamp Thing also needs to team up or go against the Inhumanoids. Do you know about the Inhumanoids?
Oh
yeah.
The great toy line.
Yeah, famous like great toy line, and like went heavy on the horror for like Saturday morning cartoon, and I feel like goes in tandem with Swamp. Like my memories of Inhumanoids are kind of wrapped up in my memories of this movie and the Swamp Thing cartoon. They all kind of like mesh together.
Same here. We should do a deep cut toy line episode.
Yeah. Inhumanoids, the evil that lies within.
Dude, that's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Or Centurions. We gotta do the Centurions.
Yeah. Power extreme.
And in the 80s, they don't got a lot of action figures with mustaches, like Man at Arms and like the one dude.
Which Man at Arms action figure did not have a mustache? Swamp Thing is all mustache.
Wait, did the old Man at Arms have a mustache?
Yeah, we talked about it in our He-Man. Old Man at Arms did not have a mustache.
What?
He just had like a puffy upper lip, but did not have a mustache. I like Swamp Thing's healing. Like Swamp Thing's healing power in this movie kind of reminds me of like Superman 2 when Superman like rips off the S and throws it. It's like, let's invent some powers for our character to kind of. Man, I can't wait for you to read some Swamp Thing comics.
I'm so excited. Good.
Yep.
And check out those Kenner toys.
Yeah.
Please don't drive the price up on it. Actually, if anybody has any Swamp Thing,
send them to our P.O. Box.
P.O. Box.
If you got any Swamp Things.
and we will show them off on the air.
Yeah,
here.
if you got a cool Hulk action figure, send it that way. Send that our way too. You know.
Yep. Any kind of extra Swamp Thing.
Yeah, Swamp Thing is DC's Hulk. The logo in the movie, purple and green, misunderstood shambling monster.
Absolutely.
Swamp Thing's smarter than the Hulk, though.
Yes.
Like Swamp Thing is always sort of shown to be very like introspective. I think maybe it just comes down to the way he's drawn. Like he looks like he's got a lot going on. You know,
Yeah.
like a broody.
And he's got like the swamp. He's like looking inward when you're just like swamp stalking or like hanging around the swamp.
He like it really. I mean, for me personally, it's such a sweet spot because it is like, you know, Bernie Wrightson, you know, master of the macabre. He goes like way into the grotesque and the macabre and other stuff, but like the Swamp Thing is just so pop.
Oh,
It's like just it gets me right there.
right,
Like,
what a sweet
it's
spot!
perfect. Yeah.
Sweet spot.
So yeah, I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby: The Epic Life of the King of Comics and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
Follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli. My Patreon. Go to patreon.com. Search Tom Scioli. See all the comics I'm working on currently, except for one top secret project which I can't talk about. But maybe you'll find some hints in my Patreon about what it is I'm working on that I can't for various reasons talk about. Matt knows, but don't apply him with Swamp Thing action figures to get the inside scoop. And you can follow me on Instagram at Tom_Scioli.
Follow me on Instagram at cinema_tomb.
And we'll see you in the bayou. You fight everything nasty.
Nasty.
I guess like Swamp Thing, like Frankenstein is the original. That's like where we get the Hulk. That's where we get Swamp Thing. That's where we get the Heap. You know, this sort of like lovable monster, this brooding monster that we love.